So they revealed Chasca and Lyney banners. I'm going to be honest, don't summon on these banners. Pyro Archon is literally coming next update, so let's talk about it. Just in case you do want to summon on these banners, I just still don't think Lyney or Chasca are really... I mean, Lyney's a great character. He does very strong. He's one of the strongest DPSs in the game, but he's not, you know, the Pyro Archon, who's going to be the best character in the game. Not best DPS, not best support. She's going to be the best character in the game. It's very obvious that, you know, we have Nahida, we have Fiorina. It seems like they want to do support Archons at this point just because they are obviously the #1 characters who are like, oh wow, if you need a good character, it's going to be a support. It's not necessarily a DPS. Raiden, she's a very popular character and people love her, but she's not a full-on like DPS. She is providing stuff to the team. You can even use her as a, you know, off-field Electro applicator if you really want that. So like Raiden has her uses, and it's something that works with Raiden, right? Now we do have Auroron here, which I don't recommend people summon on him. I know this is coming from a person who's going to summon for him, but that's mainly for YouTube. I just want to see what he's like with Electro Charge. I don't know how much I'm going to invest into him, but we'll see. So yeah, and we don't know how good Chasca's going to be. I expect her to be pretty good. It seems like she'll handle AoE with like reactions and stuff. Like if you just have Overload as a team, Chasca's probably going to be very, very good in that, right? She's going to have a load of reactions. She's going to have a load of AoE. However, I don't know how much she's going to be useful. I don't know really how strong she is because she's Anemo, and they don't have a good track record of making Anemo DPS characters absolutely busted because they don't have a good reaction, right? It's the same thing with Geo, right? Navia was pretty good, but she wasn't like Nevi level, right? So I don't expect Chasca to be, you know, Milani level or maybe even Kinich level. She might be worse than Kinich, but we'll see when she's in game, right? Obviously. So yeah, other than that, I mean, if you look at the 4 stars, Barbara's free and just not worth it. Sucrose, she's been here for a while. I mean, she's not really gonna... I don't know. I don't ever use Sucrose, right? Even though I have her, you know, decently well built, and I can always just, you know, put the main artifacts that she wants on her. She has her uses, but her uses are so rare and minuscule that I just never end up using, right? It just... Sucrose is a character that has potential, but there are always better options that I'd rather run than Sucrose, right? But she's very good if you do like the character, I guess, you know, sure. But I just don't ever use Sucrose. She has her uses. It just doesn't happen, right? I mean, she does... Also, Imaginarium Theater would also help out Sucrose, right? You would want her, you know, just for Anemo, being Anemo, right? And that's another thing with Chasca. Chasca doesn't have to be that good because she's like one of the only Anemo DPSs in the game. I mean, Wander is the other one that's a 5-star. And then beyond that, I mean, Anemo's not really doing much, right? So I think Chasca definitely can work for Imaginarium Theater use cases if you don't have a lot of Anemo characters, because, I mean, there's not a lot of great Anemo characters, I would say. I mean, like Kazuha, yeah, sure, he's great. But after that, I mean, I probably put Sucrose at number 2, and I was just talking about how I barely ever use her. And then we have Auroron. We don't know how good he is, but he's going to be cool to be using Electro Charge, especially with the Electro Charge buffs that are kind of be coming with the update. So yeah, that'll be cool. Now, Lyney, talking about him a little bit more, like I said, he's really strong, but we have Pyro Archon coming up next. It just isn't wise to summon for this character. I don't expect this character to see any, you know, resurgence of like being really strong. I'm expecting Pyro Archon to actually just make... Actually, Pyro Archon could help out Lyney because he does want that mono Pyro, and if she gives a load of attack, he has a pretty good attack scaling too. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if Lyney's going to be perfect. I don't know if Lyney is going to be perfect for this, but we'll see. We'll definitely have to see. Now, looking at the newly tweeted weapons, I'll go over Chasca's weapon first. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I don't see this weapon being basically useful beyond its 66% crit damage and base attack. Nobody is gonna be able to really trigger this. You would need a bow Anemo character, which, do we have a bow Anemo character beyond Chasca? I don't know. We have Venti and Farazan. Yeah, not characters I'm expecting to be great. Yeah, you get charge attack damage. Yeah, no, absolutely not. The way this is written makes me think that you have to trigger a swirl reaction in order to get the second half of this bow. However, if it's not, then it could be good for Ganyu, honestly. You know, charge attack plus 48%, and then elemental burst damage dealt also increased. That could be good for Ganyu. However, I do think that it is the 12 seconds after triggering a swirl reaction. I think it's under that. So I don't expect this weapon to work with basically any other characters other than Venti and Farazan. That would really... So that's Chasca's weapon. I mean, that's not great. I'm going to be honest. That's not a great weapon. It is a crit damage bow, but I'm pretty sure Lyney is also a crit damage bow, which, I mean, I guess if you need a crit damage bow for characters, that'd be pretty good, but I don't think anybody really is in desperate need of that. Yeah, so Lyney's bow is exactly the same stats, and then it flat out gives you 16% charge attack damage bonus. Lyney's bow is pretty good. Looking at it, it's pretty good. If you have the same elemental types, which isn't hard, right? Let's say you have, I mean, Yuemiya, right? You have Bennett there. So your attack gets another 16%. You just get an extra 16% attack. Although the charge attack damage doesn't really do anything for you, you do get 16% attack. Let's say you have Tartaglia and you're running like Xingqiu or Yelan with them. You get, you know, some extra attack and you get your charge attack damage, right? Not many charge attack bow users, I'm going to be honest. Tignari, if you look at that, you have Nahito on his team. You have 16%, you know, attack and then 16% charge attack. It's really what you're looking for both of these bows is just their base stats. These bows are very, you know, specific to these characters, and I don't really think that these bows are really going to be... I don't think these bows are going to be the best in slot for a lot of characters. I think they're just going to be a good option for these characters. So if you need a bow with crit damage, I mean, you're guaranteed one if you get a featured weapon, right? So, I mean, not bad. I would definitely say, from the looks of it, assuming that you need to trigger a swirl to and like use this thing's passive at all, I would say Lyney's bow is a lot better just because it's very much, it's a lot easier to activate, right? And then looking at the 4-star weapons, looking at the new 4-star bow, it does seem all right. It seems very tailor-made for Chasca. So if you do summon on this banner and you need, you know, a weapon for Chasca, that seems to be one that would definitely work with her. And yeah, I'm seeing, you know, damage dealt by charge attacks 6% up to 6 stacks. So that's 36% charge attack damage along with 41% attack and then 5-10, you know, base attack. If Chasca has a lot of attack scaling, like really high attack scaling, it's very much so possible that this bow is very good for and possibly the best 4-star option. I don't know though. Now this catalyst is a little weird to me. So why do we need 61% energy recharge for a hydro catalyst user? This catalyst here is not simply just, oh, same type as party member. And I think, like, whenever I think of HP scaling catalyst, you think of Nevi because that's the character. Now, Kokomi, I'm also thinking of a little bit here. Don't know why, because she's not really a character that you really would want. Like, you don't need a good weapon for Kokomi. I'm just going to say that flat out. Kokomi doesn't need a good weapon. All she needs is Prototype Amber. She doesn't need help. I mean, the energy recharge is nice, so you don't have to worry about it for your main stats. But I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I'm not looking at it like, oh, wow, this is so great. No, not at all. I'm going to be honest. I guess Mulaney, actually. I didn't think of her, but you do still want... Like, your max HP is increased by 20% for every Hydro element. You don't want to run Mono Hydro Mulaney. That's just not something that you want to do. I'm assuming Mulaney herself would not count for this weapon. Assuming. But it does seem like you could equip this on literally any catalyst wielding characters and just have 2 Hydro in your party. Still don't know why you would do it, right? I don't know why. But, you know, it does seem like that would be the case, right? So you could get up to 44% HP if you have 2 Hydro in your party. I don't know if Mulaney herself would count or, you know, Nevi himself would count. But it's just a weird weapon. I don't really see why. Like, it's good for its energy recharge, but its HP, you know, gimmick here is not really something that I'm looking at and like, wow, this is so great. So yeah, that's my discussion on these banners. I just don't think you should be summoning right now because the Pyro Archon is literally next update. The moment this update drops, it's going to be drip marketing for the Pyro Archon. I was saying that the Pyro Archon was going to be latest matched with Nahida, but actually the Pyro Archon is still 1 update behind Nahida. Apparently, I misremembered and thought Nahida dropped in 3.3. No, she dropped in 3.2. And so Fiorina dropped in 4.2. Zhongli dropped in 1.2. And Venti dropped in 1.0. Zhongli dropped in 1.1. Raiden dropped in 1.1, I'm pretty sure. But like, these Archons, this is the latest we've seen an Archon drop. So I just don't think people should be summoning right now. So a lot of people are saying that they're skipping Chasca because the Pyro Archon will get a rerun, right? So if you want Chasca, summon for her now because you don't know when she's going to get a rerun. And I can't blame people for that because, like, guys, he is about to approach 14 months with only one banner ever. I do not know why this guy has not had a single banner beyond that. I don't know. He did, like, people, I guess, hated how his C1 was, and they took that as, okay, we're just gonna avoid rerunning this guy. We're just gonna avoid it. I mean, he is one of the worst Fontaine drops, I think. Yeah. Is he the worst? Who would be? No, Chiori is worse. Chiori is by far worse, even still. I'd rather have Rizley than just a second Albedo, right? Chiori should have been so much better than she was, right? Simple as that. But yeah, I mean, him being the second worst, I mean, Chiori got a rerun, let's be real. But Chiori is also a lot more well perceived from the community, I would say. I think a lot of people just did not like the, what his C1 stood for, basically, having a passive so incredibly key to his kit that makes him so much better, which it makes him a lot better, but I don't think it's a necessary thing. Basically, Rizley hasn't had a rerun in 14 months. I don't blame you for saying Chasca might have the same, because she is that type of character, I would say. Like, we have Mulani and Kanich, they were paired together. Lyney got a rerun. Nevi was paired with Pyro Archon, so we kind of understood that he was going to get a rerun along with being the Dragon Sovereign, so it was very understandable that he's going to get a rerun. Weirdly, you would think the warden of a giant prison would get a rerun also, but apparently the guy doesn't. But yeah, we could understand that, Nevi was going to get a rerun. Lyney kind of was paired with Arlecchino, so it made sense for him to rerun when Arlecchino came out. And I don't get it. I don't necessarily get why Rizley hasn't had a single rerun or anything. I don't blame people for being really skeptical and worried that she's not going to get a rerun. I can't. That's something I just actually cannot say that you're wrong for summoning one of these banners for, because it is something that has happened now. This character that is very, like, I would say nowadays, people like the dude. They want him. They want him to return. He just isn't. I don't understand what reasons they go through. Have they forgotten about him? I don't know. He's very mid. Sure, but like, why are we not just re-releasing him? So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.